you starting with me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm used to that. Our company is called AS Moluboy Private Limited. And in every list, because it starts with an A, I'm always first to handle the challenge. So here we go.
Welcome to the panel discussion today. Mrs. Nafisa Moluboy, Managing Director, Moluboy Group of Companies. Mrs. Nafisa, you have been at the helm of the Moluboy Group for 21 years now. What got you into the business and how did your contribution change the face of the Moluboy Group?
I'm going to answer her question with a small quote, which I strongly believe in. Behind every strong and successful woman, there is a story that gave her no choice. In my case, the company was 96 years old. Our company is established in 1905. My husband, being the only son and heir of the Moluboy inheritance, if you like, fell seriously sick and was unable to wear the mantle of leadership. Company being 96 years old, we had employees who had been with us for over 20 years, 30 years. One of them was second generation. We had a family, and with all this, we had a family separation. So each brother took his share and moved on. My husband inherited this company, which he looked after, then fell sick. We had a partner whom we fell out with in a very big way on grounds of ethics and integrity. And here was this company, 96 years old, employing at that time, we had about 120 people. Now we are 230 plus. All looking and saying, what is the way forward? There really was no choice. Being the wife of my husband, I had no choice but to take over. I come from a completely middle-class family, no education, because I married at 19 when I was in my FY BCom. And there I was sitting on this chair, the first day I remember when I went, to run a company with 130, 140 people staring at me and wondering, will this really work? As I said, when you give a woman no choice, most women will really steel up and they will face the challenge and be triumphant. Today, we intend to go public in 3 years. In 27, 28, I intend to take the company public. And I think in our segment, we will be the first company in the service segment to be led by a woman to go public in 27, 28. Thank you.
It's really nice to hear about your journey into the company, and it's actually interesting to know that in 3 years you will be going public. Amazing. So as a lady managing director, what are the kind of challenges that you faced? And how did you handle them with the demands of a professional and personal life?
Again here, I'll again quote a saying that I believe in. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. I learned to dance in the rain. There were challenges galore. Being uneducated, not from the marine industry, I'm talking of 21 years ago where there were no women in really senior position in the marine industry. People would make fun of me. I have this ridiculous habit of trying to match everything that I'm wearing. And I would have purchase managers say, why doesn't she just go shopping instead of turning up at our doorstep? I have gone through all the challenges, all the derogatory remarks. All they did was spur me on. So you learn to take the challenges. You learn to take the criticism and just use it to egg you on. Because if you really are determined, trust me, forget anybody else. No one can stop you. And if you really want something, the universe conspires to give it to you. The biggest challenge that I would say to every woman here is your biological clock and your career clock, unfortunately, go in complete harmony. And on one hand, you have to work those grueling hours at the office to prove that you are no less than any man. And at home, you come home to a child who has rung you several times to say, will you come home to wish me good night before I go to sleep? And my biggest challenge has been, the success has been tremendous. I am so grateful to God. We have 220 members working for us today. We have got 8 branches in India, 3 abroad, a huge turnover. I am humbled by the success that the Lord has given me. But the one thing that I can never forget are the calls every evening. Mom, will you come for when I'm having dinner? Mom, will you come to tuck me in? And that pain and that conflict only a woman can relate to. So to all the men here, we salute your success. But to all the women here who are successful, there's a double salute to you, because you have really done it where no man could have matched up with you. So thank you.
It's really heartening to hear that aspect about how women with professional careers balance that personal life, and it's not easy. And I'm saying this because there was a time when I was working within the fashion industry. This was way back. And I had set up my own company for men's loungewear. And my husband was sailing and my children were much younger. And I had just taken off and I was doing brilliantly well. But then we started getting complaints from school, because my son was not getting the adequate time from me because I was at work. And he was anyways missing his father. So when we realized that this was coming in the way of his upbringing, I had to take a back seat. I decided to take a break in my career and then be a stay-at-home mom for my children. So I completely understand where you're coming from. So these are the sacrifices that we make, which also make us stronger in so many other ways. You know, those challenges that we face, we learn to work around them, we learn to find solutions, and that's how, you know, professional women work. Thank you for sharing, Mrs. Mulubhai.
I've got my daughter in the audience today, and I hope I've done well.
Nafisa ji, you have created a legacy called Mulubhai Group of Companies. And now your daughters are a part of that. What values do you think have been instrumental in shaping this legacy?
Again, I'm going to answer with a quote, because I just feel it says all that I want to say. A father and a son were walking along the beach one early Sunday morning. And then whilst walking, they found a lot of jellyfish on the beach. So the father said to his son, "Be careful where you walk." And the son responded, "Be careful where you walk, Dad. Remember that I follow in your footsteps." So, as leaders, as parents, as mothers, we need to ensure that we have the right sense of values so that our subordinates, our children, our peers, and our colleagues can emulate it. As far as I am concerned, there were 3 values that were sacrosanct to me, which is the DNA of the Mulubhai organization. 1, integrity. 2, hard work. My grandfather used to always tell me, hard work has never killed anybody, and you're not going to be the first. And the last thing, perseverance. Persevere, persevere, and persevere till you succeed. And trust me, you see the C slowly becoming an O, and that is real success. Thank you.
Lovely. One last question to you, Nafisa ji. If you had to describe yourself in one word, what would that be?
I would say a woman. It says it all.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I pass the mic to you.
Our next speaker for the day is Ms. Rubia Bano, who's Additional Third Officer for LPG gas carriers, Synergy Marine.
Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Rubia Bano. Currently I'm sailing as an additional third mate on LPG gas tankers. Thank you ma'am for inviting. I want to tell you one story, short story. I was just coming out from MMD examination at Chennai and a message I can see over my mobile. I saw ma'am message. Why? I said, ma'am, I will not come. She said, I dare you, you have to come. I'll kill you. So I'm here.
Thank you, Rubia, for coming all the way. And I really appreciate that because your story needs to be heard, you know. So, Rubia, you come from a very small town near Jaipur. What motivated you to join the Merchant Navy and how did you manage to do that?
Ma'am, I'm from Rajasthan, where there is no sea. So I have grew up watching the ship picture I remember in my social science books and watching TV serial where I was really fascinated looking at the uniforms. So when I was in school in 12th standard, my family circumstances propelled me to join this career and hardly I was in 12th. So I cannot pursue or take a decision to join DNS or BSc. Only option for me was rating. So I spoke to my dad and my dad said, okay, if you made your mind, please go ahead. So I approached Jaipur agent and through agent I remember I went to Chennai and I met a director sir of our institute and he has taken a bond. He said, you will not claim us that we will not offer you a job after completion of your training because you are the first rating in our industry. I said, please give me a training course. I will not do anything. So I did that training of 6 months. I come back and the real struggle starts. It was a time of 2006 and 7 where very, very difficult for a female cadet to join this shipping industry and get a job. And I was dreaming as a rating, right? Which is impossible. So a year, I worked day in and day out, and nothing was coming in my way. So I seek help from DG Shipping. And I proudly say our former Director General of Shipping, Ma'am Kiran Dhingra, I have not seen her yet. She said to me over phone, I need a girl like you in industry. So she said, I want to test you. So she's under the scheme of NCV cadetship. She sent to a tug, a small tug. And believe I was very happy. I did not complain yet to anyone that I got a tug. I was on a tug for a year. And people were very supporting. I was given small work like reading ROR. And I remember representative used to come on board and they used to say, you please speak ROR without looking at the book, like a puppet. So this is how my training begins. And I then transferred to dredgers, where I really learned, I'm really fortunate to learn the maneuvering aspects, how the small vessel operates at the narrow channel. Then my company got bankrupt and I landed again as a struggle junk on a street. And I approached one company where I found a disclaimer in their vacancy, women and handicaps are not allowed. That really pissed me off. And I approached my authorities. I'm very proud again and again saying the same word that belongs to DG Shipping and a country where Nari is a Shakti. Nari is a creature, Nari is a power, and Nari is a Narayani, right? So I approached to an authority and I said, sir, this is what we are for. And they sued them a letter. And they not only recruited me, but also removed that disclaimer forever. But unfortunately, I did not join that company. I joined SCI, and I'm very proud. I worked for 4 years, and I must say that It is the only company where I have not faced any kind of discrimination. But ma'am, I went on our product tanker, Sampur Swarajya. All due respect, for my, I belongs to a Drager or NCV, and I'm very proud of it. So I remember my chief officer was sitting in a CCR with Captain Sir, and it was my first foreign going ship. And he was sitting like this. And he was discussing to Master Sir, and he said, Sir, एक तो टैंकर है, दूसरा आपने लड़की भेज दी है, मैं कैसे काम करूँगा? So I was listening, and he also mentioned, Sir, एक तो NCV है, छोटे वाले ship पे है, इसको कुछ आता जाता तो होगा नहीं. So I was like, how can they denunciate or degrade somebody holding a certain background? So I did not spoke, I concentrated on my work. And after 2 months, I remember Superintendent Sir visited our Sampurna Swarajya, and he has said to our superintendent, Sir, this girl has changed perception towards a woman can survive in industry for me. And he also said to, Sir, isko jitna aata hai na is ship mein, I cannot rely on anyone. I said, look, he is the person 2 months ago saying that I cannot afford a woman on board, and now he is praising me. So I continue with the SCI, and I become first master NCV somehow. That a gift I can give to my government or DG Shipping, that yes, if you have given me chance, I can give you a written gift as a first master woman NCV of India. So now I went on an institute again. I was told that by looking at my face, I don't know what is there in my face. तुम तो पास हो ही नहीं सकती foreign going. भूल जाओ, तुम जाके sail करो ना master. You are chief officer at your passenger ship. So you sailed. So I don't know what happened to me. I joined passenger ship as a chief officer, and SCI proudly said me. But again the master, he said, नहीं नहीं साहब होगा नहीं सर, लड़की है, ship dry dock पे है, ऊपर से repair चल रही, कर ही नहीं सकती है. And company said, look, she will do it. So I went, and after 1.5 months again, Surveyor sir, our MMD surveyor sir came on board along with the IRS, and he said, साहब आपका chief officer किधर है? ये तो ship का पूरा नक्शा ही change हो गया, पहले क्या था और अब क्या है, and मुझे appreciate करना पड़ेगा. And the same captain, I remember saying to the surveyor, साहब हमारा chief officer लड़की है. So every time you go on board, I must say to the young girls, please, please put your hold on your work. Don't concentrate on anything else. And now this was my last contract with SCI, sadly. I moved to foreign going and the same campus. My faculty said, tum kar nahi paega. I said, sir, main kar paega. And I remember there was a result day and he said, तुम इतने नंबर कैसे ला सकती हो? सर मैं ला सकती हूँ, मैंने पढ़ाई की है. So then now my life is better, I must say, from all the hurdles of NCV to master. And I must extend my gratitude towards my present company called Synergy Group. And we have a slogan called family, and we really mean it. And I must say the name of our respected Captain Rajesh Unni sir, who is doing the great effort to increase not only ratio on board, but creating a healthy atmosphere and a stringent manager instruction for women, especially the discrimination part and their safety. If a single issue, if we are facing on board, we can call anyone, including him. So he's that person. So thank you very much, Synergy. If this message goes to anyone that if Synergy can do this, we all can do.
Very true. Thank you, Rubia. This is really inspiring, really inspiring. I mean, it's really nice to know that from humble beginnings. And I also know that you did not know English as a language and how you put in your efforts and learn the language besides putting in efforts to study, and then you came up the hard way. And this is an inspiration to all our students out there. You know, I mean, you will also be facing some kind of challenges, but never give up, stay focused. What is your top priority today? Rubia, one last question.
Of course, my family, giving them a better life because I come from very poor background. So my first aim is to give them a beautiful life. And second, of course, doing better things in shipping. Now I have taken a new challenge called LPG. And Synergy has given me this opportunity. And I must tell you, ma'am, I'm sorry I'm consuming your time again. In enthusiasm, while doing phase 2 at Chennai, I went to our head office. And I took appointment. And I met our in charge. And I am very proud to say this, that I was explained each and every corner of this advantage and disadvantage of this changeover. Sir told me, our captain sir, all due respect, that it will take a longer time first of all. Second thing, if you succeed, there may are, chances your life will be more hurdles at sea because again you are starting as an additional third mate, so you think about it. And secondly, any moment if you feel you are not able to do, please come out. No need to prove. So now second priority is concentrating on this job and become a commanding master in near future.
Wow. Thank you, Rubia, for sharing your journey.
Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me here.
We now move on to Ms. Leah Fernandez. She is the manager, FPD, EPT Bulk and Containers with Elegant Marine Services. Welcome, Leah.
Thank you.
Leah, you're one of the few women having more than 2 decades of rich experience in crewing and manning operations across the shipping domain. In fact, I believe you complete 25 years this month, right?
Yes, absolutely. In the same organization.
With fleet management, 25 years with fleet management. Many congratulations on achieving this huge milestone. That makes me wonder, at what age did you join fleet? And what has the journey been like over 25 years?
Well, firstly, thank you, Asalya, for inviting me and sharing this dais with such distinguished ladies, and to the rest of you all sitting in the audience. Well, on a candid note, I'm not revealing my age. So, yes, to take back your question, it's been a long journey for me. And I did join my company, I'm not again saying the age, but yes, I wasn't married then. So life is all about challenge. And at that point of time, I didn't really realize that. I just thought, out of college, and I just thought probably I'll join. I thought there were ships, maybe they will send me also on the ship. That was a fascination that I had. So that's how I went there for an interview.
All right, lovely. So what has been the most challenging incident or time in your entire career?
My entire career, I wouldn't say there were a lot of hurdles or challenges during those days. But an eye-opener was during the COVID period. I think many of us could relate to that. That brought in, I actually thought my entire career, maybe I won't be able to function because nothing else functioned. The entire world had stopped. Aviation, everything, everything that we thought was tangible, we could go ahead. And only the shipping industry was functioning. And I think all of us were like in our own homes, trying to deliver work. And that was the most challenging phase that the manning department faced, because coordination with your one mobile and your laptop, that's it. And whereas when you're in office, you can just go across and deliver what you need to. But being in a confinement in your home with your kids around, I'm a mother of 2 lovely boys who are of course grown up now. But I wouldn't say I'm glad that happened, but they also realized the kind of pressure that we face being ashore, working ashore, how challenging it is, convincing someone to go on the ship, convincing the family also, because our seafarers are everything for us. And we first get connected to their families, to their wives, to their mothers, to their sisters. And that's how at Fleet, we believe that's how we become a family. And I think that COVID period had really shaken everybody who, even with so much of years of experience, felt they're helpless. So,
That's true. COVID has changed a lot of people, and it really brought us into uncharted waters, as they say. Now, I would like to ask you, what advice do you have for women who are striving to reach executive or leadership roles in maritime?
well, women are matured, the girls will mature. So I won't give any advice as such, but I personally follow a five S in life. Alphabet S. Self-care. Girls, ladies, very, very important. If you are mentally sound, you will be emotionally strong. Being successful is everything in your mind. I mean, a wise man once told me that, what is your vision? At that point of time, I said, no, I'm working, I'm happy. I do my 9 to 6 job. It's of course not 6, but it goes beyond. I go back home and then I'm there for my family. But I realized when we did hire ladies that they go back, they go sailing, the lady seafarers, they go sailing, and how do they connect with their family back then, those years? So I thought to myself, at least I knew I'm coming home and my kids had me home. They knew we had the family time, we had the homework doing, we had the school reporting, everything was possible. So that's when I connected with the seafarers family more closely, because the wives back home were managing their entire activities. So I felt, yes, at least I'm coming back home. So, well, I have penned down the few other essays that I follow, because sometimes even I forget. So I go back, read my book, which I write every morning. So, of course, self-care is what I have told you all. Setting boundaries between professional and personal is what I tried telling you all. Seeking support. When you need help, you need to tell. Do not assume that you will get help. That's, be it your mentor, you can take advice, be it your friends, very, very, very important. It's very important to have friends, your circulation with friends. That's in any industry, I would feel. And family, yes, you need to have a very good support from your family. Then yes, you can achieve what you intend to. Well, the main S is, I think, the woman having the strength. That's what we are all doing, Chai Pe Charcha. So strength, yes, ladies, if we are strong in our mind, we are strong, we can achieve, and we can help our spouses, help our friends, help our neighbors, help our kids achieve what they want to. That's the advice probably I would like to give them.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, Leah, for sharing your journey. I'd like to now move on to Ms. Sumita Banerjee, Senior Vice President, All Cargo Group. Sumita, you have had a very illustrious career spanning 34 years, both in the government and private sector. And you have been amongst the very few women in a leadership role for over 2 decades. So tell us about your journey, the pitfalls, the challenges, et al.
So, good morning. Are we still before 12? I can still say good morning. Lovely to see so many familiar faces, and even better to see beautiful gathering of women. Many of them I'm seeing for the first time, 34 years in shipping and logistics, and I'm seeing you all for the first time. So it's on me, not on you, and kudos to all of you for being here this morning. So we all start with a quote, right? That's how it goes. So what's my favorite quote? Challenge is actually an opportunity, cloaked, disguised in hard work. So every challenge is actually just an opportunity. So you asked me to speak about pitfalls, roadmap, opportunities. So let me start at the very beginning, 1990, campus recruited straight from MBA, Shipping Corporation of India. So happy when anyone mentions Shipping Corporation of India. Very different time for Shipping Corporation of India, ladies and gentlemen. 1990, we had 160 ships. And we were a premium, company. It didn't work like a government company. We really meant PSU as in everyone there, a master mariner, chief engineer, they were from top caliber, the MBAs there from IIMs. It had a very different feel and look. So there I joined and imagine Shipping Corporation of India gave a stipend of 5,000 rupees, and the same amount was offered to me by Citibank. So even our pay was really good back then. I really have no idea what it is today, and I don't want to comment on that. Worked there for 12 years. So the leadership journey started after 10 years of being in Shipping Corporation of India. There was rotation every 2 years. I handled bulk carrier and tanker, line and passenger service, chairman's office, planning, bunkers, purchase and services. I can't even remember how many roles. And in the year 2000, SCI decided to have its first direct container service to China. And at the age of 32, and I have no problem speaking about my age. You come to a certain age where you're really happy to speak about anything and everything. It's all right. So at 32, after 10 years of experience, I was asked to, become a line manager. Today, you have a lot of youngsters who become line manager. But in the year 2000, in Shipping Corporation of India, where all other line managers were like, seasoned professional, late 40s, 50s, what I look like now. At that point, they were like grandfathers to me or grandmothers. And I took on the responsibility because that's the way my nature is. And I thought it's very interesting to be given that responsibility. And there were challenges, of course. You're 32 years old. No one is, this is the first ever direct container service to China. All the consortium partners are in Singapore and Japan. Communication wasn't like it is today. It was much more difficult. But the challenge that I really took upon myself, one internal and one external, which I'll just briefly speak about. For me, the internal challenge was to get the trust and the respect from my colleagues, senior colleagues from operations department and technical services, which were manned by senior master mariners, senior chief engineers. And the other challenge, external, I took upon myself was to get the work done and the respect from SCI's then Far East agents, I think about 40, 50 big Far East agents. And what worked, and it took time. It didn't happen overnight. It took time. But what worked in my favor, and I was hearing this from all the women here, is the same thing which works for every successful woman. Passion for your work. You've got to be passionate about what you do. You need to be able to seek help without ego, because you don't know everything. You learn on the fly. You learn on the job. And never play your gender card. Never play a victim card. So you do these things, you're hardworking, dedicated, and of course you win over people, your work comes, things go easy. Also having this conviction to stand for, when you believe in something, stand firmly by it. I remember 1 year into my service, SCI, as you know, is Government of India. We used to work out of JNPT Government Terminal. P&O ports were coming in. Captain Jimmy Sarab, I remember, he was their person here, the CEO. I'd done my feasibility study, I'd done all the costing, and I went to my management. And lo and behold, they supported me. Shipping Corporation of India took the 3 Prime Minister series and went to P&O Port. I stood by my conviction. I was there to make money for Shipping Corporation of India, very serious in my intent. So I always tell this to young women, particularly who want to become, managers and leaders of tomorrow. Please study very carefully what are your company's vision, mission, and value system. You have to be aligned with that. Look at the goal that you've been given. Your company has given you a goal. Be aligned with that. You have not come to office to make friends. So at this point, I want to tell you a few pitfalls most women fall into. And that's because of patriarchy, and I don't want to get into any patriarchy bashing, but that's the truth. Let's first face that. Women typically tend to be, we want to please everyone. Because you're brought up that way. You've seen your nanny, dadi, mother doing it. But when you come to work, you do not come there to win Miss Congeniality. You come there to deliver. It doesn't mean you can't deliver with a smile. It doesn't mean you can't be empathetic. But it does mean you have to deliver that work. So don't forget that. Never self-doubt. Don't have this fear of failure. Everyone, man and woman, all of us, at some point or the other, might get that into your head. But if that gets into your head, everything else suffers. Your confidence suffers, your delivery suffers. But the other pitfall is keep away from office gossip and politics. Easier said than done, but that's really the way to do it because you don't have the bandwidth. Most of us will get married, will have kids, rightly mentioned, biological clock ticking along with your work clock. Put your energy where it's required to be given, right? You put your energy into your work, put your energy into your family, but gossip, these are all pitfalls. And I'm just being very honest, I'm just speaking as it is. Also, there is no harm. This is just one of the, they say, things I adopted. I used to be extremely friendly, gregarious, loved a drink in my hand. You join Shipping Corporation of India, and you're supposed to be this very senior person at a very young age. You have to sometimes don a double personality. So at office, I became a very no-nonsense, practical, sharp-speaking person, work, and then I come home and I'm back to my fun-loving self. So don't take your office persona home. Don't bring your home persona to office. I'm not talking about whether men should do this or not do that. I think they're all smart. I'm just speaking to the women out here. It works for us women better that way. That if we can don two personas sometimes, don't try to merge two personas. And yeah, all these learnings of Shipping Corporation of India, 12 years I was there. I took it to my next assignment, which was again a decade. I was the CEO of feeder service, I remember, which was based out of Sri Lanka. I worked through the LTT years. Those were the years of terrible congestion and issues in the terminal, 15 days waiting for your vessel. Imagine a feeder vessel, standing cost, how much do you make in a voyage, and 15 days of waiting outside Chennai. Again, today out of Singapore, you're having same congestions coming back. But the confidence, when I worked with Shipping Corporation of India, our then management gave me, we used to go and meet port chairman. Our conversations, we never got micromanaged by our bosses who said, no, that guy's a senior IAS officer. No, Sumita, if you're the line manager, please go ahead and meet him or her. And the same confidence, and the confidence never came from the fact that I'm a line manager or I'm an MBA from a certain college or I've got experience. It came from the fact that my management backed me up. 160 ships, that's what SCI stood for. So you walked in, the power of the whole thing walked along with you. Your shoulders were high. So when I was working in Sri Lanka and I had to deal with the terminal managers or terminal heads in Singapore, PSA, or Chennai, that confidence that I carried forward from SCI always worked for me. I came back to India 11 years ago, and after so many years of shipping, shore shipping, of course, came into logistics. I didn't know the L of logistics when I joined All Cargo Group. It's a $2 billion company with 160 offices, 160 countries, 260 offices around the world. It was a large responsibility for someone who didn't know L of logistics at that point. I didn't know what supply chain stood for. I was a CY to CY person, but what really works again for all of us, what I've been hearing is your willingness to learn. You have to be a learner till the very end. You have to keep learning, adapting, innovating, never being scared. You have your native intelligence. You don't require bookish knowledge. And never be scared to ask for help. Rightly said, nobody knows you need help. And asking for help is never a sign of weakness. What is a sign of weakness is when you start using mascara polish, buttering someone's toast, being a people's pleaser. Those are signs of weakness. Asking for genuine help is never a sign of weakness. We are not Mr. and Miss Know-all. Definitely the things you will not know. Today I can ask for help from a brand new management trainee. Maybe something new in AI, maybe something new in some compliance. What is wrong? Have the humbleness, be a student all your life. And 11 years today in All Cargo Logistics, and I've had a ball in this company. And yeah, every day I think that's one thing. It doesn't matter whether you're a leader or whatever. When you go into work, and if you don't feel happy, then you're in the wrong job. Always be at the right job, and you'll have a great time.
Thank you, Sumita. Lovely.
Long answer.
No, it's amazing the kind of insights we have got and the advice that you've given. I think that will go a long way. I mean, it's really nice. You bring a wealth of experience, a treasure trove of insights and, pointers there for especially women who are climbing up the ladder. One last point, Sumita, what is your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Favorite way to unwind after a long day? So when my son is now 31 working with Infosys, but when he was younger, it was always fun to come back and play with him, hear about his day. So today at 31, when he's 31 and he has a different house, what is my way to unwind nowadays? A glass of wine always helps, but you can't have it every day. So in the mornings for me, it's always been yoga for a long time now, because I really have stopped gymming and all that stuff. But in the evening, no, I wouldn't come back and say I'm such a pious and spiritual person, I get into yoga, no. So the evening will be something fun. It could be something as light as TikTok one day, it could be a TED Talk one day, it could be a good meal one day. And if I can get my girlfriends, my support system, my mom, my cousins to come over, nothing like it. So some connect, it doesn't have to be the same every day, it would be different on different days, but some connect which would enrich my soul. For me, speaking to my mom enriches my soul, speaking to my girlfriends enrich my soul, hearing a good TED Talk enriches my soul, and sometimes even TikTok enriches me. I get so much of 30-second ka gyan.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you, thank you. And a quick question to all of our panelists today, if you wouldn't be in maritime, where would you be?
I'd love to be a lawyer. My father was in the maritime industry, and he wrote the constitution for the government of Yemen. And I've grown up with law at the breakfast table, lunch table, and dinner table. So I would love to be a lawyer, but far cry, because as I said, I'm not even a graduate.
Thank you for your candid answers. Sumita.
I always wanted to be in television for some reason, like a news anchor who does all the research and puts forward the news. I think I plan to retire soon, and podcast seems to be a good way forward. So I'm looking forward to something new.
Lovely, lovely.
Ma'am, I cannot imagine beyond shipping, but still I can say without shipping, I probably married and taking out water from some well in the village of Rajasthan. So I don't want to recollect. I'm very proud to be a daughter, woman, and seafarer, and I'm not ashamed of it.
Well, I cannot imagine not working for a shipping company, because I love interacting with people. I love having my parties. I love talking, hearing stories, giving stories. So I think I'm in the right field and the right kind of profile, and I'm happy doing my job. That's why I think I'm here. But on a lighter note, maybe if I have to retire, I would do something like hosting events, and that's again connecting with people. So I think I'm getting there also very soon.
Thank you to all our panelists for amazing answers, and it's been a very enriching session. And I think if we have 2 minutes for question answers, Pauru, do we have time?
Can I just add something?
Yeah, please.
I wanted to add something because something Deputy DG mentioned and some people mentioned, someone, I don't know, maybe Mrs. Joshi mentioned about, and the policies of Government of India getting more and more women going into sea. And then what will happen when so many women go into sea? When they come back, and opportunities? So some quick statistics for everyone. Shipping Corporation, I'm so addicted to saying that. All cargo group where I work, in our international operations around the world with all our 260 offices and all that, the female-male ratio, 60% are women. All economies which are, set economies which have reached there, in logistics and offshore, I'm talking about people who work, onshore and logistics, supply chain, women are more than men. But in India, Sri Lanka, in our part of the world, it's still, I think in SCI, 20% is women, 80% is men. So when you girls, women, ladies come back, believe me, there'll be tons of jobs, because, you will take another 4 or 5 years and you come back, and I hope India is going through Amrit Kal and all the promises come true. There will be so much of job opportunity, because from 20% to go to 60%, right, there is going to be a leap happening, and there's going to be a lot of job opportunity. So my request here to Deputy DG and to Salia is, while you're doing a lot of work for, seafarers' wives, and you've now included also women in logistics and supply chain, why don't you look at using DG, using your good offices, using AmToy, some organizations like this, and look at the lady seafarers who are coming back and putting them in a position where they get into positions of opportunity on the shore. And that would be a reason why a lot of women may want to go to shipping, to, sailing, and come back knowing I'll get a job here. So that could be an opportunity.
It's already there. I am recruiting every single day. So what you're saying is not something that is going to happen. Entrepreneurs like myself are ready to recruit every single day women who've had experience on the ship and now want a shore job. So it's not in the future. It's right now, happening in the present.
Thank you for adding your points here.
My point was have it in an organized way so you can measure it. Like I remember what Mr. Shetty was mentioning.
Yes.
Everything has to be measured. So this year, how many women have come back from the sea? How many have joined private sector? What the kind of organization? India has thousands and thousands of shipping companies, logistic companies, who would be happy to have young women who have got 4 or 5 years of sailing. They come with a different perspective. Everybody doesn't have to come as a chartered accountant and MBA or whatever, So I'm just saying, if there's a organization where they can come and apply. Why are women, I don't know about the young lady on my left, but I think a lot of women don't go to sea for a lot of reasons, and one of them could be that when I come back, then what for me? So that's what I was trying to get at.
We have a lot of openings nowadays within the shipping companies where they're absorbing the women seafarers. So right now the situation is fairly under control, but like you said, with more increasing numbers, we will have to look at a bigger, longer trajectory. And I'm sure, the DG is taking the kind of steps, and we together will definitely, like you advise, we would definitely look into this and work on some kind of a platform where, women coming back from sea are able to get into proper corporate jobs. Thank you, Sumita, for sharing that.
Something like Naukri.com, where you have a pool of women, not necessarily women, people. I'm never gender conscious, where we can recruit from within the industry instead of looking from outside.
Definitely. All your points have been taken, and we will look into this. Yeah. We're actually running short of time, so if, just like 1 minute more,
Well, as we assured, we send the people on ship and staff. So we have, in fact, my company, we have the women sailing. We give them show jobs. Yeah, we absorb them. So we do that.
Thank you all, and it has been a lovely session this morning, interacting with you all and knowing your journeys, your challenges, and I'm sure there's a lot of insights to take back from this session. May I now request for a photograph, and before we...
Thank you, Saleha, and to all our panelists. This session was so engaging, so interesting, and so inspiring with the impact that these elegant women up on stage have in the maritime, have had, and will continue to have on the industry's future. Let's give them a round of applause as we celebrate the support and successes that have defined their journeys. I request Captain Pradhan and Ms. Nico Brown to felicitate the moderator and our participants. Miss Rubia Bano. A tea break of 10 minutes. May I request you all to please be seated at 12:30. You can bring your tea, coffees inside the venue. Please be seated at 12:30.